What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Road to Medicine. So today's episode we have a special guest with us. So we're going to be interviewing Prof Blockman on his journey into medicine from doing pharmacy as his first degree. Good morning, Prof. How are you today?
Good, yourself. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us today. So maybe we can start. Can you briefly tell us about yourself, your hometown, and then we can take it from there.
So I'm Marc Blockman. I'm 60 years old. I'm in the Department of Medicine and the Division of Clinical Pharmacology. I'm a born and bred biased Cape Townian. I've lived here my whole life. I'm married with 2 kids, beautiful kids. One is in England, 21 years old, working for a financial security company, and that's my daughter, and my boy is in first year medicine.
Okay. So can you walk us back in your matric year and your initial application to university? Which programs did you apply for, and then what ended up being your first degree?
So I only applied for pharmacy, and pharmacy at that time was at the Technikon. There was no degree course at the University of Cape Town. In my first year, there was discussions around it being a degree at Stellenbosch and at UCT, and in second year it became a degree at UCT, and so we transferred across to a university program, and we ended up with a Bachelor of Pharmacy at the end of the pharmacy degree.
Okay. So how was pharmacy, and also why pharmacy?
So pharmacy was brilliant. Quite small classes, lovely people. I lived near a pharmacy. In fact, my house was right next door to a pharmacy in another road, sort of in my backyard. You walked up a kind of a pathway, and there was this pharmacy. The pharmacist and his family lived above the pharmacy, so it was a residential area with a pharmacy, and so I spent a lot of time there and thought, this is great.
Okay.
So I made that choice.
Okay. So then can you tell us about what made you then want to do medicine afterwards?
So I did well in pharmacy, and people had tried to tell me to move across to medicine really after second year pharmacy, but I was a bit nervous. I wanted to finish a degree. And then I worked in the information. I then did my internship at Groote Hospital, and they hadn't had interns for about 18 years for pharmacy. And because of that, the program was new, and I was privileged to work at the Medicine Information Center, which is in my division, which I in fact direct now, so that you come full circle. And I met a mentor of mine, Dr. John Straw, who suggested that I should do medicine, as that would close the loop and have the clinical as well as the pharmaceutical background, and that would be a very, very good career to have, and that's obviously in the very early 80s. And that was a wonderful decision, and I applied, and after my internship in pharmacy, and started in second year in medicine in second year, because I had a degree, you didn't have to go into first year. Things have changed now, so you would go back into first year. So I basically went from second year to final year.
Okay, so how was it now having to go do medicine as a senior student and being around junior students that are coming from matric?
It was interesting. I mean, I think that we didn't really see ourselves as senior, more as maybe a little bit more mature and had gone through another degree. It was interesting. I think that at times you would notice that you were slightly more mature in your thinking than the other colleagues. I think just by having kind of gone through a degree and being a little bit older. But I think when you in medicine, you're part of the group, and that's so you don't really separate out, and you just get on with it. And it was probably a good idea to have a balance between some more kind of older people and younger people, different energies. It's quite a good idea, actually. Helped a lot.
That's really good. And then also, would you say, having done pharmacy as an initial degree, when you now got to do medicine, were there things that are also similar that you did in medicine that you did in pharmacy, and did that make the whole transition easier to get to do medicine?
Yes, I think the transition was easy in a way because I'd already been at UCT, and so you kind of knew the system, so that was quite helpful in its own right, because knowing the system at the university is really important. And then having done physiology here and biochemistry with the medical students in my pharmacy career, you were able to immediately, my second year, pick up on the physiology and the biochem and chem path. So that made it very easy to transition. It was just, anatomy was different. So that was like a novel, new, we had done anatomy, but anatomy in its entirety was new. And so that was kind of a new language, and wanted to do that. But the rest was, I had done pharmacy, was much easier actually.
Okay, so a lot of people like that want to do medicine. They want to do it because they are interested in learning about the human body. So, but then like there's more to medicine. I think people never really think about how long medicine is, and like how, like the emotional capacity for medicine and the load. So what would you say is a red flag for someone that wants to do medicine?
I think that you're always learning. So medicine waxes and wanes, and the understanding waxes and wanes. So you kind of you're never on top of it, and you never have stopped learning. So it doesn't matter when you start. But I do think that if you don't want to be a clinician, it's quite hard. And I think you have to work out up front, if you're transitioning, that looking after patients, examining patients is a very important part of medicine. And you've got to get to grips with that, and you've got to make sure you do that well and want to do that. It's not just a theoretical subject. If you just see it as a theoretical subject, you're going to fall over. And so I think it's probably a good idea if people are transitioning is to speak to colleagues who are doing, for example, fourth year, because that's where third and fourth year, that's where clinical medicine really is, and say like, well, what is it like? Maybe even find out if you spend a day with them doing a journey. You know, anybody can sit on their bum and learn and regurgitate in a way. But the actual touchy-feely parts of medicine, I think you want to know that that's what you want to do. And I can say that with certainty because I've been part of student support since '95, very strong member of the student support team, and a lot of people push away from medicine late third year, fourth year because they don't want to be clinicians. And so I think you want to know that up front before you transition, otherwise you may battle.
Yeah, I think you mentioned an important point that they should have a mentor so that they can see if it's really what they want to do.
Correct.
So after medicine,
yes.
Why did you choose to specialize under the division of clinical pharmacology? And then maybe for people out there that don't know, like there's a division of clinical pharmacology under medicine, maybe you can then explain like what does it entail? What do you do under the division of clinical pharmacology?
So my pharmacy was a good starting point, and Department of Medicine and the division gives you opportunity to entrench yourself and really deeply dive into medicine, the medications that people use from all levels. I'm very much involved in drug policy and drug regulation. It's my forte and what I strongly do well, evidence-based medicine. There are opportunities to work in industry, in medical aid environment, be just a straight clinician and give support from a medication point of view. So it kind of has the ability to look after all the aspects of medication that people use, from toxicity to therapeutic efficacy. And I was able to link my pharmacy and my clinical together. And for me, it's worked out extremely well, being from a clinical pharmacologist.
Okay. So, what then, let's say to someone out there doing a different degree and they are considering or they want to do medicine, but like maybe like they have doubts, should I do this or should I not do this? Because they are worried that they will be starting medicine as an older student. So what advice can you give to someone in that particular situation?
Well, I think if you've done due diligence and been mentored and gone around with maybe colleagues of your same age, at least in the medical faculties, gone on into some of the clinical scenario, been allowed to see that, and you truly, this is your calling, then you must go for it. Age means nothing. It doesn't matter how old you are. As long as you've got financial backing, because I think that's really important,
Yes.
and ability to sit down and dedicate time in the day to study, to review, to practice clinical medicine, then it's absolutely fine. But you must make sure that you're doing it for the correct reasons, not for a title, and not it can't be for that, because it's hard. It's hard to transition because of the clinical aspects of it, and so you want to be clear that that's where you are, and make sure that biology and physiology are important in your mind, because those underpin much of the work that we do.
Medicine. Yeah, I think you mentioned a good point. There needs to be more to why you want to do medicine, not just being called a doctor. Maybe as a final question, can you tell us what is a quote or quotes that drive you in life, or that you live by?
Yeah, so I've got a few, and one which is really important to me is that that people don't care as much as you know, as long as they know that you care. And for me, that's a really important driver of who I am. And I think that you have to enjoy every day. I think it can be 51, 49. I don't mind that, but you've got to make sure that you on a daily basis are finding enjoyment in whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what it is. Be it it's a collegial reaction today, a good clinical scenario, good teaching, whatever it was. Something must keep you happy within the environment. And if you're not happy, you've got to question why you're not happy. And you can find reasons. The bosses, you may be on call, and there may be COVID-19, and it could just be whatever. That's fine. It's a situational issue. But if there's perpetual unhappiness in the career that you're doing, then you've got to really say, like, why? What is actually going on, and is this right for me? And then you've got to change that. You mustn't be shy to change it, because you don't want to be entrenched in something you don't like. So you must enjoy. You must enjoy, and I use enjoyment deliberately, because we've all got lots of bosses. And so you push from pillar to post, and medicine is one where patients just arrive, and it can kill you a whole day. It doesn't matter. But those are short snippets. But if you find chronically that you're not enjoying, in fact, it doesn't matter whatever profession you're in, if you find you're not enjoying it, you've got to really question that. You've got to say, because it's a very long-term commitment not to enjoy something. And as you can hear, we're having an interview now, and there's some happiness and laughter occurring in the division, and that's really good. One must have this time for fun. We'll be serious when we have to be, and if it's too serious all the time, what's going on? Because we're human beings, and we should find a level of happiness and a balance, correct? And you've got to get out there. Don't spend your whole time studying. It's a very bad idea. You must do something else for yourself. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It could be walking, it could be rowing, it doesn't matter what it is. You've got to have something outside of medicine which you own. Because often, from a clinical point of view, we don't own the time. But if you can own something for yourself, it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to tell anybody what it is, but just own it. I think that allows for some balance as well. People mustn't make that mistake.
I think what you mentioned is important, because I think a lot of people get immersed in being so focused on studying that they forget that there's life outside studying, which might also end up affecting their mental health.
Correct.
And I think it's important to have a life outside studies.
I do tutorial for the final years every Friday, as long as I can make it. And at the end of that tutorial, I tell them it's the weekend. They need to get out there and do something for themselves. And if they're on call, I apologize for that. But there's another day, and they've got to do something for themselves, whatever it is. They've got to. And I never not say that on that particular Friday. I reinforce it, because if I can reinforce it for them and tell them that I will try and do that, I'll let them. I'll watch the rugby, I'll watch the soccer, I will watch all those issues. I will tell them I'm going to make the time. I'll fit it in, right? It then shows that us senior people don't spend our whole lives just involved in clinical medicine, is that we find time to carve out for ourselves as well, especially our families.
Yeah, I think also them hearing someone senior saying that to them, it will also motivate them to get a life outside studies.
Definitely.
Maybe as a bonus question, to people that are doing medicine, or like people that are yet to do medicine, what advice would you give them on like after they're undergraduate, when having to decide, like after internship and ComDev, when having to decide what to specialize in? What advice would you give to someone on deciding what to specialize in?
I think the advice that I have is not specializing in what. It's do you want to specialize? That's number one, because that is a time commitment out of your life. And if that's the case, that you want to specialize, and most people through their career are thinking about a career choice, one must always remember that you can have finished medicine and done your community service and do brilliant work for the communities or wherever you work. Specialization is for people who want to do something different, right? And that's different. You know, you don't have to specialize to be a good clinician or good person in terms of medicine. It doesn't matter, right? So it's not the end point of finishing medicine. The special end point is doing something that you really enjoy. But if you want to specialize and that's not part of you, then that's you've already made some commitment. And then it will be, where do I see myself in a surgical discipline, an ONG discipline? You know, where am I, right? And go and find somebody who's doing it. Go and spend time with somebody who's doing it. And don't ask the good stuff. Ask the bad stuff. Like, what is the terrible part of being a surgeon in the speciality, or being a physician, or ONG, or a dermatologist? It doesn't matter. Those are the questions you have to know. Where's the stuff that's going to drag me down? We can all celebrate the good stuff. We cheer the good stuff, and it dilutes out. We hope it dilutes out the bad stuff. But you want to be prepared.
Yes.
You want to know what this looks like, because it's a career choice. Specialization is a career decision. And so you want to know the goods and the bads of that career. But ask about the bad things. Ask about the days. Ask about the weeks, the months, the studying, whatever else it is. So you're truly informed about what you want to specialize in. And if you don't want to specialize, take your time. You know, you can take off some years, be a medical officer if it's possible, you know, travel if that needs to be, and then get your mind in the space for deciding what your career looks like. And it doesn't have to be specialization.
No, definitely. I think the take-home message is that you need a mentor, and you should ask like the good and the bad, not just focusing on what's the good of doing this particular specialization. That is it from this episode. Thank you so much for dedicating time to contribute to the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you. Good luck to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Very nice meeting you.